The Galactic Zoo was silent that night. Too silent. It was supposed to be the safest place in the galaxy, a vast station orbiting a dying star, filled with life from 1,000 worlds. Every cage, every habitat, was monitored by cameras, scanners, and guards. Nothing could escape, nothing could enter without permission. But when morning came, one entire species was gone. No alarms. No broken locks, no signs of a struggle, just empty habitat grounds, abandoned food, and a strange coldness in the air, like something had sucked the warmth from the room. Zanric, the youngest zoologist on the station, stood in front of the deserted habitat. His tail twitched nervously as he looked at the empty enclosure. "The Kalari," he whispered to himself. "Where are they?" The Kalari were small, gentle creatures. They had silver skin that shimmered under light and large black eyes that seemed to hold secrets. They never caused trouble, never argued with other species, never even tried to escape. And now they were gone. "Check the security feed," Zanric told his assistant Laro. Laro's fingers danced over the console, pulling up the night's footage. At first, everything looked normal. The Kalari were asleep in their nests. The guards were at their posts. Then, at exactly 02:13 station. Time! The cameras flickered. For 3 seconds, the feed went black. When it came back, the habitat was empty. "That's impossible," Laro muttered. "Even if they moved, the scanners should have picked up life signs. But it's zero. Nothing." Zanric stared at the screen. "Rewind it. Slow it down." Laro did. This time, as the footage flickered, something strange appeared. A shadow moving across the habitat, long and thin, with a shape that didn't match any known species. And just before the blackout, there was a faint sound, a whisper. They played it again. This time, Zanric adjusted the audio filters until the words became clearer. "Remember." Zanric's heart raced. The voice was soft, almost human. But why? Would the Kalari, who spoke an entirely different language, leave a message in human speech? Before he could answer, a voice spoke from behind them. "You should stop looking," said a tall figure in a dark uniform. It was Commander Ven, head of station security. His face was hard, his eyes colder than the void outside. "What do you mean?" Zanric asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Some disappearances are not meant to be solved," Ven said. "Do your job, file the report, and move on." "That's an order." "That's not an answer," Zanric said. "It's the only one you'll get," Ven replied, then walked away without looking back. Zanric turned to Laro. "Save the footage to a private drive. Don't tell anyone." "Zanric, this is dangerous," Laro whispered. "I know," Zanric said, "but I need to know the truth." For the rest of the day, the station buzzed with rumors. Some said the Kalari were stolen by smugglers. Others believed they had found a way to turn invisible. But one rumor made Zanric's blood run cold. That humans had visited the zoo the day before. It was rare for humans to come here. They were not part of the Galactic Council's politics. They were outsiders, explorers, traders, and sometimes troublemakers. That night, Zanric sat in his quarters, reading old records of the Kalari. He noticed something odd. In every picture where humans appeared near the Kalari's habitat, the Kalari would look away, their eyes wide with what looked like fear. The next day, Zanric requested a meeting with the human ambassador on the Bow station. The ambassador was a tall woman with sharp eyes. She greeted him politely, but when Zanric mentioned the Kalari, her expression changed instantly. "I don't know anything about them," she said quickly. "You visited them yesterday," Zanric said. "That's not important," she replied. "And if you're smart, you'll stop asking questions." Before he could speak again, she stood and left the room. Zanric sat there, frozen. Something was very wrong. Later that night, a small data chip appeared under his door. No name, no sender. Only one note attached. "If you want answers, go to Storage Vault 7. Come alone." Against his better judgment, Zanric went. The vault was cold, filled with crates and old equipment. In the far corner, hidden under a dusty tarp, he found a hollow projector. When he activated it, the Kalari appeared, or rather, a recording of them. They stood together, looking directly into the camera. Their leader spoke in a trembling voice. "Humans are not what they seem. They are the only species the galaxy could not cage. We were next." The recording ended. Zanric felt his stomach twist. Were the Kalari taken by humans? And if so, why? A sound came from behind him, soft footsteps. He spun around, but no one was there. Then a whisper drifted through the air, the same one from the footage. "Remember." The lights flickered. For a moment, Zanric thought he saw a shadow, long, thin, and moving toward him. And then it was gone. Zanric stared at the hollow recording again, his heart pounding. The Kalari's words haunted him. Humans are not what they seem. They are the only species the galaxy could not cage. We were next. What did they mean by that? He knew he couldn't. Ignore this mystery. The disappearance of the Kalari was not just an accident. It was a message, a warning. He had to find out the truth. The next morning, Zanric stood in the station's central command room. Screens flickered with live data from every corner of the Galactic Zoo. He turned to Laro. "We need to start an official investigation. Find any trace of the Kalari, even the smallest clue." Laro nodded. "I'll get the scanner teams working on it right away." Zanric pulled up the security footage from every camera near the Kalari habitat. "Look closely. Anything unusual? People?
Ships?
Sounds?" For hours they watched. Then Laro gasped. "Zanric, look here." On one camera, minutes before the blackout, a strange shape hovered just outside the habitat's force field. It was faint, almost invisible, but the scanners caught. Something, a small energy pulse. Could it be a cloaked ship? Zanric wondered aloud. Possible, Laro said, but no ship should be able to get this close without setting off alarms. They sent a request to the station's tech division. A few tense hours later, the chief technician, Mara, arrived. She looked serious. "We found an anomaly in the energy shield around the Kalari habitat. It flickered for exactly 3 seconds, the same time as the blackout on the cameras." Zanric's mind raced. Who could control the shield like that, and why? Mara shook her head. "We don't know. The shield technology is standard, used for decades. No one has ever hacked it before." Suddenly, the comm system beeped, a message from Commander Venn. Zanric opened it with a sinking feeling. "Stop the investigation. This matter is classified. Failure to comply will have consequences." Zanric clenched his fists. "We can't stop now. This is bigger than us." Laro hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Venn doesn't joke." "I'm sure." The Kalari disappeared. "That's a crime against the galaxy. We owe them answers." That night, Zanric sneaked into the station's restricted archives. The doors were sealed, but he used a stolen access code he had kept from his first days here. The dimly lit room smelled of old metal and dust. He pulled up files on the Kalari, their history, their habits, their health reports. But then he found something odd, an encrypted file labeled Project Freedom. Curious, he decrypted it. The screen filled with images and data about various species, some known, some hidden, and at the bottom, a list of priority species with humans at the top. A note caught his eye. "Humans possess unknown capabilities. Containment impossible. Special measures advised." "What does this mean?" Zanric whispered. Before he could react, the lights flickered. A voice echoed in the empty archive. "You shouldn't be here." Zanric spun around. A shadow moved at the edge of the room. He took a step back, heart pounding. "Who's there?" he demanded. No answer. The shadow vanished as quickly as it appeared. He grabbed the files and ran back to his quarters. The next day, Zanric decided to confront the human ambassador again. He found her in the station's council chamber. "I have questions about Project Freedom," he said boldly. Her eyes narrowed. "You're digging into things you don't understand. Why is humanity listed as containment impossible?" Zanric asked. She sighed. "Humans have always been different. We don't belong to the Council's rules. We are free because we choose to be." "But the Kalari feared you," Zanric said. "Fear is the reaction to the unknown," she replied. "Sometimes freedom scares others." Before Zanric could reply, alarms blared throughout the station. A broadcast crackled through the speakers. "Security breach. Unauthorized personnel in restricted areas." Zanric's blood ran cold. Was it him they were after? He looked at the ambassador. "You knew this would happen." She smiled faintly. "Sometimes seeking the truth is dangerous. Be careful, Zanric." Zanric knew he was now in deeper trouble than ever, but he also knew he couldn't stop. The mystery of the Kalari's disappearance was only beginning. Zanric couldn't shake the feeling that the Kalari's disappearance was connected to something much bigger. The hidden file about Project Freedom was only the start. He needed more answers. He returned to the station's archives, but this time he wasn't alone. Laro insisted on coming with him. "It's dangerous, but you can't do this alone." They moved quietly through the dim corridors until they reached a secret room behind a false wall. This room wasn't on any official map. Inside, hundreds of data crystals floated in glass cases, each containing records the Council never wanted anyone to see. Zanric picked one labeled Kalari First Contact. The data began to play, showing footage of the Kalari's earliest days in the zoo. They were timid but curious, always watching visitors carefully. Then humans appeared in the footage. The Kalari's eyes darted nervously whenever a human came close. They whispered among themselves in their strange language, voices trembling. "Why are they so afraid?" Laro asked, watching the screen. "Maybe humans are different than we thought," Zanric said. As they watched more records, a pattern became clear. Every time humans visited the zoo, the Kalari became more withdrawn. They stopped eating, stopped speaking, and often refused to leave their nests. Suddenly, a new file opened by mistake. It showed a meeting between high-ranking council members and a human delegation. The humans spoke quietly but firmly. "We cannot allow the Kalari to spread their knowledge," one human said. "They know too much about us." Zanric's eyes widened. "What knowledge?" Another voice replied. "They understand human nature better than anyone. They know our limits and our secrets." Laro shivered. "Secrets? What kind of secrets?" Before Zanric could answer, the door hissed. "Open." A council guard stood there, blocking the entrance. "You shouldn't be here," the guard said coldly. "Leave now or face consequences." Zanric grabbed the data crystals. "We have to take this information. The truth can't wait." The guard stepped forward. "You will regret this." Zanric and Laro backed away slowly, then turned and ran down the hall. Alarms blared behind them. They reached a maintenance shaft and crawled inside, hearts pounding. Once safe, Zanric examined the data crystals. "This proves the Kalari's. Fear wasn't just superstition. They knew humans had power that others didn't. They were scared because they understood what humans could do." Laro looked worried. "But why would humans want to hide this? What could be so dangerous?" Zanric shook his head. "I don't know yet, but the Kalari vanished because they feared being exposed. They wanted to disappear before humans could control them." That night, Zanric stared out at the stars. The Galactic Zoo was supposed to be a place of peace and study, but now it felt like a cage, one with shadows lurking behind every corner. The secret records were a warning. The Kalari's silence was a shield, and Zanric was beginning to wonder if the real danger wasn't from outside the zoo, but from the very people who controlled it. Zanric couldn't stop thinking about the hidden records. The Kalari's fear of humans wasn't random. It was deep and real. He needed to understand why. The next morning, he requested another meeting with the human ambassador. He waited, in the council hall, his nerves tight like a wire. When the ambassador arrived, her sharp eyes met his immediately. "What do you want now, Zanrik?" she asked coolly. "I need answers," Zanrik said. "About the Kalari, about Project Freedom. Why did the Kalari fear humans so much?" The ambassador's face hardened. "You're playing with fire. Some truths are better left buried." "I don't believe that," Zanrik said firmly. "The Kalari disappeared. There's a connection to humans. I need to know what it is." She sighed, then motioned for him to follow her to a quieter room. "Very well, but you asked for this," she began slowly. "Humans are different from all other species in the galaxy. We are not just one race. We are many, but also one. Our strength comes from adaptability and something else." "What else?" Zanrik asked. The ambassador hesitated. "Humans possess a unique power. We can change, learn, and evolve faster than any other species. But this makes us unpredictable. Dangerous even." Zanrik frowned. "Dangerous? To who?" "To those who try to control us," she replied. "The Galactic Council feared humans because we cannot be contained or tamed. The Kalari sensed this before anyone else." "Why would the Kalari warn others?" Zanrik asked. "What did they know?" "They saw what humans could become, a species that could grow beyond all limits. The Kalari tried to warn the Council, but they were silenced." Zanrik's mind raced. "Silenced? How?" The ambassador looked away. "Not everyone in the Council agreed with the humans. Some saw them as a threat, so they took measures to keep humans at bay." "Like what?" Zanrik pressed. "You saw the messages. Project Freedom, the hidden files. Humans were not allowed to be studied closely, but the Kalari's knowledge was dangerous. It made them a target." Zanrik felt a chill. "So the Kalari vanished because they feared humans would take them?" "In a way, yes. But humans don't just take. We transform. The Kalari knew this was coming." Before Zanrik could ask more, an urgent message came over the comm. "Security breach detected near the Kalari habitat." Zanrik's pulse quickened. "Is it them?" The ambassador shook her head. "I don't know, but be careful. You're close to truths somewhat hidden." Zanrik rushed to the habitat. Outside, the normally calm corridors were filled with guards. The habitat was sealed tighter than ever. He noticed a small group of humans standing nearby, scientists, but their eyes were cold, professional. One of them met Zanrik's gaze and whispered, "You shouldn't be here." Zanrik's resolve hardened. "I will find the truth, no matter what." The night fell again, thick with silence and secrets. As Zanrik looked at the empty Kalari habitat, he realized one thing clearly. The human connection was the key, but unlocking it would be the most dangerous step yet. Zanrik knew he was close to the truth, but the deeper he dug, the more danger he faced. The shadows around the Galactic Zoo grew thicker, and secrets whispered louder. One evening, Zanrik received a message on a secure channel. No sender, just a location, the lower levels of the zoo near an old storage vault. His heart pounded. He debated telling Laro, but something told him this was a secret he had to face alone. He arrived at the vault, its heavy doors creaking open to reveal a cold, dim chamber filled with dusty crates and forgotten machines. At the center stood a holo projector humming softly. Zanrik approached and activated it. The holo flickered to life, showing the Kalari, or what was left of them. They looked tired but determined. Their leader stepped forward, eyes full of warning. "Humans are not what they seem," the Kalari voice echoed. "They are the only species the universe could not cage. We were next in line to disappear. We chose to vanish to protect others." Zanrik's breath caught. The Kalari had known their fate. Suddenly, the recording changed, showing secret. Council meetings. Humans and council leaders argued fiercely. "We cannot allow the Kalari's knowledge to spread," a human voice said coldly. "Their understanding of us threatens everything, but they are peaceful," a council member protested. "Why such fear?" "Because they see our true nature," the human replied. "We do not want others to know what we truly are." Zanrik felt a chill. What were humans hiding? What power did they possess that scared even the council? Before he could ponder more, footsteps echoed behind him. He turned sharply. No one. Then a whisper filled the room, soft and haunting. "Remember." The lights flickered. For a moment, Zanrik thought he saw a shadow move across the wall. He grabbed the data and ran from the vault. His mind raced with questions. What was this hidden power humans had? Why did the Kalari vanish instead of fighting? And most frightening, what was Zanrik himself walking into? That night, he sent a message to Laro. "I found the truth. But it's dangerous. Stay close." The hunt for answers was no longer just a mystery. It was a fight against the unknown. Zanrik could feel the weight of the mystery pressing on him like a heavy fog. Every new piece of information led to more questions, but he was determined to find the final clues. He and Laro met in a quiet corner of the station's observation deck. The stars outside shimmered, but Zanrik's mind was far from peaceful. "We need to find where the Kalari went," Zanrik said. The hollow recording showed them asking for a night under the stars. "That's strange for a captive species," Laro nodded. Maybe that night was the key to their disappearance. Using the station's logs, they traced the Kalari's last movements. Records showed that on the night before they vanished, the Kalari requested permission to be outside their habitat, a rare and unusual request. Zanrik frowned. They never asked for this before. Why now? That night, Zanrik and Laro staked out the habitat, hidden in the shadows. The station was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. At exactly Zo2:13, the same time the cameras had blacked out, the stars above the zoo seemed to shift. Zanrik blinked. "Do you see that?" Laro pointed. "That's no natural star movement." Suddenly, a massive shape appeared in the sky, an enormous invisible ship cloaked in advanced technology. Zanrik gasped. "A ship? But how?" The ship hovered silently above the station. Then, a beam of light shone down into the Kalari habitat. In an instant, the empty habitat appeared again on the scanners. But now it showed signs of movement. "Could the Kalari have been taken aboard this ship?" Laro asked. Zanrik's eyes narrowed. "Yes, they vanished because they left this place. They tried to contact the ship, but their messages were blocked. No replies came. It was as if the ship had vanished, too." Days passed. The council remained silent. Rumors whispered that the Kalari had been rescued or taken away for darker reasons. Zanrik met the human ambassador once more. "You said humans transform, not just take. Does this ship have something to do with that?" She smiled sadly. "The ship is humanity's secret. It moves between stars, invisible and powerful. The Kalari's disappearance was part of a bigger plan, one to change the galaxy forever." Zanrik felt a chill. "What plan?" "Freedom," she said simply. "But freedom comes with a cost." That night, Zanrik looked again at the dark habitat and the endless stars above. He realized the Kalari story was not over. It was only the beginning. Zanrik sat alone in his quarters, the room dim and cold. His thoughts raced like a storm. The Kalari's disappearance, the secret ship, the human ambassador's words. Everything pointed to one terrifying truth. He opened the data files again, searching for more answers. Suddenly a pattern emerged. The records showed that every time humans visited the zoo, a species vanished. He called Laro urgently. "Come here, look at this." Laro arrived quickly. Together, they watched the timeline of human visits and disappearances. The dates matched perfectly. Humans weren't just visitors, Zanric said quietly. They were the cause. Laro's face paled. But why? What do they want with these species? Before Zanric could answer, the communicator beeped. It was the human ambassador. Zanric, she said calmly, I know you have questions. It's time you heard the full truth. Zanric steeled himself. I'm listening. The ambassador continued, humans don't collect species like trophies. We free them, but freedom is not what others expect. What do you mean? Zanric asked. Humans can change. We absorb, we grow. When a species disappears after a human visit, it means they've been transformed, made part of something greater. Zanric's heart pounded. You mean the Kalari and others didn't just vanish? They became part of humans. Yes, she said softly. We don't take lives. We take potential. The species that vanish become one with humanity's endless strength. A cold shiver ran down Zanric's spine. That's terrifying. It is, the ambassador agreed, but it's also our future. Zanric looked out the window, stars flickering like distant fires. The Galactic Zoo was not just a prison. It was a starting point for a transformation no one was ready to face. He whispered, the real terror isn't that species vanish, it's what they become afterward. Zanric stood alone in the observation deck, staring out into the endless night of space. The Galactic Zoo below was quiet, but his mind was loud with the truths he had uncovered. The Kalari were gone, vanished without a trace, but not destroyed. They had become part of something far greater, something humanity had built in the shadows. He remembered the human ambassador's words. We free them, but freedom is not what you think. We transform. A soft sound behind him made him turn. Laro stepped in, eyes heavy with worry. Are you ready to know the whole story? Zanric asked quietly. Laro nodded. We can't hide from it anymore. Zanric took a deep breath and began. The Kalari disappeared because they chose to leave this cage, this zoo. Humans came for them, not to capture but to change, to absorb their knowledge, their strength, their very essence. Laro swallowed hard. So they live on inside humanity. Yes. That's why the Kalari feared humans. They knew what transformation meant. It's a loss of identity, but also a gain, becoming part of something bigger. But what? About the council, Laro asked. The council doesn't want this known, Zanric said. They fear humans because they can't control them, so they hide the truth, erase the Kalari, and silence anyone who asks questions. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A cold breeze swept through the room, carrying a faint whisper, the same one Zanric had heard before. Remember, Laro shivered. It's like a warning, Zanric nodded, or a promise. The Kalari are gone, but their story isn't finished. They live in the shadows of humanity, waiting for a time when the galaxy will see what true freedom means. As the stars twinkled outside, Zanric felt a strange calm. The Galactic Zoo was silent, but the universe was not. Change was coming, and when it did, no one would forget the species that vanished, because they had never truly left.